Hey, welcome to my channel. It's called Emmaroma. I'm Emma and let's get into it. Today we are going to be imagining fragrances inspired by characters from the musical Wicked, since the movie adaptation just came out. Wicked is one of my all-time favorite musicals. I've been singing the song since I was in like 2nd grade when my parents got me the Glee album and it came with Defying Gravity on it. I'm thinking that this video is just going to be a part 1 since there are a lot of different characters in Wicked and I don't want this video to be too long. So I think just for today, I'm gonna stick with the main duo, Elphaba and Glinda. I am already working on Fiyero though. So let me know if there are any other characters that you'd like to see from Wicked, or if there are other movies or shows or books or worlds that you'd like me to explore. There will be spoilers of this entire musical, by the way, so also for this video, I just want to keep it fun, lighthearted, creative. So we're going to talk about these characters and how we might capture their essence and experiences in a fragrance. Elphaba has always been one of my favorite characters, not just from Wicked, but in general, and I think I really connected to her story when I was a kid. So this fragrance is called Unlimited, based on the lyrics from her song Defying Gravity. During the song, Elphaba kind of realizes that her determination to make change is unlimited and that the power that she has is unlimited. It's also funny because in the song For Good, which happens in the 2nd act, it's not in the movie yet, she states that she is limited. Change is very slow, but the potential for good is unlimited. So I think that was kind of the perfect name for this fragrance. Let's start with the bottle design. For both Elphaba and Glinda's bottles, I used AI to generate the design. I just fed it a description of what I wanted it to look like. Initially, I just typed in like Elphaba perfume, and there were a lot of green potion-like bottles, like very classic and witchy. But to me, Elphaba's main characteristics are not that she's green or has magical powers. She just kind of happened to be born that way. In fact, I think she actively tries to show the people around her that that's not the most interesting thing about her, and then her magic is not really something that she flaunts. At the beginning, it's actually something that kind of scares her because she doesn't know how to control it, and then eventually it just becomes this tool that she uses. Yes, she's studying under Madame Morrible, but that's not the main plot. So I wouldn't describe Elphaba as this stereotypical witch who just brews evil potions, so that's why that bottle didn't fit. Elphaba is 100% an academic. I mean, she is an activist as well, but I think that's more because she had to be, because it was like forced upon her in the moment on her own. She's more like studious and just wants to learn about the world. The final bottle I ended up using was that black glass one, and I think that kind of matches her personal aesthetic better. And then the bronze details kind of give that academic feel. They kind of remind me of maybe fixtures that you might see in an old library. And then on the face of the bottle is this sort of bas-relief style winged monkey. And the reason I thought that would be fitting is because 1, the moment Elphaba gives all of the monkey guards wings, there's no turning back. Her life has changed forever. And then 2, I think I sort of draw a parallel between Elphaba and the guards, because both of them were essentially born into a world that was never truly going to accept them, and largely because of the wizard. And the only reason Elphaba or the guards are able to be in the palace, in the presence of Oz, is because they serve a purpose to him. So for the note breakdown, I kind of used a mix of literal elements from the movie as well as notes that kind of just represent an idea. Please keep in mind that this is all in good fun. You may not agree with my ideas, and that's totally fine. Not an expert yet, but if you have any other ideas, I would love to know them in the comments. For the top notes, I chose cardamom, pepper, ginger, and bergamot. It was very important to me that the top notes were quite spicy because Elphaba sort of has this sharp exterior. Now, she's not cute or fuzzy or sweet. She will stand up for herself and her sister, even against authority figures or their own father. And I always describe pepper and ginger as having this like biting quality, and I think that's a great way to describe Elphaba's attitude, especially towards Glinda. Also, I'm just gonna say Glinda instead of Galinda since she did change it, and I'm gonna respect that. Then in the middle, we see coffee, osmanthus, rose, and papyrus. So the coffee and papyrus are supposed to represent Elphaba's studiousness. You know, she's very perceptive and she's ready to learn. And then I'm actually using rose in both Elphaba and Glinda's fragrances, and that's because the flower that Fiyero gives to Glinda, who eventually gives it to Elphaba during Popular, is a ranunculus, which is very rose-like in appearance, sort of has the petals that are layered together in a spiral. The flower that Glinda gives to Elphaba is, on the surface, a symbol of the friendship between the two, but also because Elphaba's wearing it in her hair, it sort of represents the softening of her exterior. You know, she's becoming a little bit more open to the idea of fitting in and playing the game that Glinda and everyone else around her seem to have mastered. And then I also added osmanthus to the middle notes. That's mostly because I love how osmanthus is done in fragrances like Herod by Parfums de Marly, Less by Boy Smells, so it was sort of a personal touch. And I think it adds like a soft fruit-like facet that kind of complements the rose. Now for the middle, we have incense, patchouli, myrrh, oak moss, cedar, and vanilla. The incense was like right on the nose. I mean, she's a witch, and I think incense is kind of associated with witchiness and supernatural, and she does lean into her witchiness sometimes, spooking Glinda at the end of the song What Is This Feeling, embracing the hat that was given to her as a joke. I wanted the myrrh and vanilla for depth and for a subtle warm resinous feel. While Elphaba is quite assertive and unapproachable on the outside, she does have these softer qualities when she's with people that she cares about, like Nessa and eventually Glinda. Even Fiyero, when they were in the forest rescuing that cub. I will say that she's not overly sweet. And then the cedar, patchouli, and oak moss were drawing on that forest that's just outside of the university. I mean, this is the forest that Elphaba walked through when she was following Dr. Dillamond and eventually learned about the treatment of animals in Oz. It's also where she met Fiyero, and it's where the two go when they're rescuing that lion cub from being caged and being used basically as a prop for the university. So I think that forest has a lot of significance to Elphaba's journey. Next is Glinda, and from the lyrics of her song Popular, we have the name of her fragrance, Tender Heart, because that is both the illusion and the truth. Now, she tries to convince people that she has this very altruistic and forgiving, tender heart. I mean, in reality, Glinda is very concerned about how others view her, and she goes through a lot of hoops to maintain this facade of just being effortlessly perfect and good. I mean, she's Glinda the Good, but now that she's met Elphaba, she actually has to fight against what she's been taught to truly decipher what's good and what's not. So I think in that way she does have a tender heart because she's dealing with all of this internal strife and the desire to make the right choice, but also the desire to fit in and to please the people around her. Glinda has a round bottle with a cute pink bow, very fitting for her fashion and decoration choices. And I also think that both Elphaba and Glinda's bottles look very Ozian. They're very ornate and very antique. Now this is a delicate bottle. There's nothing challenging going on here. And I think that's kind of how Glinda shows up in front of other people. So, the top notes are aldehydes, lychee, and pink pepper. Aldehydes give a very effervescent, sparkling quality. I mean, first scene that we see Glinda in is her descending from the sky in a bubble into Munchkinland. Then that lychee kind of gives a tart, fruity smell. I mean, Glinda is very animated, very expressive, hence the extra fruitiness at the top. And then pink pepper, like black pepper, has that biting quality. Kind of like scratches your nose, if that makes sense. But pink pepper is much softer and much lighter than black pepper. So to me, the pink pepper is Glinda's half of the Elphaba-Glinda frenemy ship. I mean, the two loathe each other at the beginning, and they show it. Then the middle is gardenia, jasmine, rose, and peony. The gardenia and jasmine would be done as very heavy white florals, just a touch suffocating to some, and that represents Glinda's very wealthy, stuffy upbringing. Then the peony is that girlishness that Glinda has. Even though the system of Oz is very messed up, Glinda has always had faith that it will do the right thing in the end, and that's because the system has never failed her. And then the rose is just for that ranunculus flower that she gives Elphaba. At the base, we have oud, caramel, suede, cotton candy. I've added a mix of sugary sweet notes, which are kind of like classic Glinda, and then some darker notes from that oud and the suede. Because at the end of the musical, Glinda's heart is a bit darker. Like, not in a bitter way, but she has grown up and seen the world a little bit more as it is. She still retains some of that lightness, even if it's just for show, because she does sort of move into this figurehead role and then eventually an actual leader of Oz, so she can't to be completely bitter, but Glinda was changed by Elphaba for good. Alright, well thank you so much for joining me today. I had a lot of fun making this video and I hope you had some fun too. I do want to do more of these kinds of videos in the future, so if you like them, consider liking this video and subscribing. And I'll see you later.